Okay, so we're literally flying by the seat of our pants tonight. We have one main topic to talk about. We're getting confused, or I am, over video that we've got to play, and it's just been something. So, how have you been, Mr. Lowry?
I have been working, but look, don't fret. We have a reputation to uphold. I mean, we have
Yes,
we have to uphold that reputation that we
the
are
rep-
amateurs.
very amateur. As a matter of fact, it is amateur hour without a doubt now. And hopefully,
Al-
we'll have some people watching the show. I mean, they may have given up on us.
al-
After all, I didn't post a notice or anything last week till after the fact.
Although I will admit, and I think you know as well, we were quoted in a national publication, were we not?
Wait a minute. Oh, yeah, that was that interview. You talking about that interview with that lady?
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we're not free to put that out there yet, though. But we were
I don't
cited
know.
in a national. I don't know when we could put that out there.
I don't know. I
When
need
would
to go
we?
back and look at that email. But actually, it was pretty good quotes by both of us, I think. I think we were on the right side of things, and they quoted us fairly accurately, I guess. Had to do a prayer in school.
Yeah, it sure did. And Bossier Parish at that, and the Bossier Parish school system and education, and churchtainment and all the above. But yeah, we were quoted nationally. I don't know. I thought it would have been more.
I need to go back and look and check on that email if they see if they said, pretty please don't post this, or just said, please don't post it. If they said, pretty please, I won't post it. But if they just said, please, well, I might post it anyway. You know me.
Hey, now I can't remember. Let me see here. I wanted to share a screen. Nope, that's not going to work. Let's see here. 'Cause I got to show something. I have been, as you know, Rex, out doing a lot of public service work lately. Well, that's not going to come up, is it?
Hmm. We're having trouble sharing your screens lately. Is it something you can text to me?
Yeah. I can do that. I can do that.
Yeah, shoot me a
So,
text. We'll do it old school.
um, yeah, as you know, I've been out in the community doing some things here lately, and it so happens that I come across one of our guests that watch our show frequently. So, for everybody, okay, good grief, is that me or is that you doing all that dinging?
It's
There's
not me
not,
dinging.
there's nothing breaking news for everybody to be blowing my texts up now. But anyway, okay, so as you know, I've been knocking on a lot of doors lately, and actually last Tuesday, that's why we weren't live, why we weren't doing a show, because you had, I think, the high school youth fishing league thing
Right.
going, and then I was doing the term limit still, and so we had those priorities. Well, anyway, hey, I
Yeah,
did
so
happen across one of our frequent viewers. I'm not seeing anybody text to say you're here, but to the
Last time
e
you
what?
came, you had a letter that
Stop,
gave the district attorney so much time to bring a lawsuit
boy.
over the
It is
subject of
just
so
the lawsuit.
absolutely going nuts. Let me
So
figure out how to.
so
I
what
don't
does
even know
this
what I
mean?
did
Does this
wrong.
mean
well,
Well,
wow.
hold on a minute.
The parish attorney has showed up in the east front driveway.
I
But I
just and I can't get him to shut up.
but what I wanted
Wow.
to point out was some of our Bossier Watch viewers, this was the front of their house and how patriotic they are. I mean, I got to tell you, hat tip to them. They invited me in their house
Really?
and they were modestly eating dinner and even offered to serve me dinner that
Oh,
evening when I was door knocking. I got to tell you, the Bossier Watch viewers are the best viewers there are.
yeah. Well, that's awesome. And sorry for the interruption from Patrick Jackson. I apparently clicked the wrong button at the wrong time. But yeah, that's awesome. So did you eat dinner with them or what?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
couldn't, but I appreciate the offer anyway. Good people and patriotic. Of course, you can see there by their yard. I can
oh.
appreciate those decorations.
Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and let's see if we can get our advertisement deals out of the way and the countdown and that whole thing. Folks, y'all are going to want to hear this coming up because we have, first of all, an interview with Renee Hall she's representing the Friends of Cypress Black Bayou group tonight. But more importantly, there are some very interesting quotes by none other than Doug Rimmer, president of the Bossier Parish Police Jury, and Philip Rodgers, who is also a police juror. As a matter of fact, I think he's your police juror, too.
I think he is my police juror. But Taxman Rimmer, I got to tell you, I don't know which one of them is my favorite police juror.
I don't know. We're going to hear a quote from Philip. We might call him Fee-Man Philip now.
Well, look, there is no way we can talk about Philip Rodgers or Doug Rimmer and not bring up Juliana Parks. I mean, there's just no
but
way.
She was brought up in this meeting as well.
Oh, do tell. I wasn't there.
Yeah, okay. See? Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to hit the countdown, folks. Y'all know the drill. Tag, share out some folks, text message, do all that sort of stuff. We should be on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, whichever way you want to watch us. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes, and we'll get right into it. Go ahead and bring Renee on and get started. How about that, Mr. Lowry?
Let's do it.
Just, they feel helpless. They don't feel heard. They have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it, A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Ole Boys.
Hello, everybody. I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
The cockroach of the week is, drumroll please, Allie Feaster Smith.
We can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes.
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by David B. Womack for all your contracting and construction needs. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting is an IWTP customized training provider with over 25 years of success to show for it. Call them for a free consultation today. Pelican Training and Consulting matches employers with 50-plus employees with training dollars. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Okay, now let's see. We're about to bring Renee on in just a second. But first of all, I want to apologize to everybody for last week because we obviously didn't have a show. And just so you folks know, it's kind of this time of the year, it gets to be a slow news cycle and, with the meetings and all that, and there's not a heck of a lot politically going on and that sort of thing. But I should have had a notice posted that we were skipping a week. As a matter of fact, I thought I had scheduled it to auto post, and it wasn't even Facebook's fault. I can't blame this on Zuckerberg. I set it for the wrong time and didn't realize it till, I don't know, it was 8 or 8:30, and everybody was apparently sitting around letting their popcorn get stale.
Yeah. So, hey, I wanted to, while we're talking about, so just because we took a break, we've been doing a lot. We've got a lot
Right.
of stuff going on. Hey, we've got bills to pay as well. And unlike what some people think that the reason we do things is for our own self-interest, I mean, the bottom line is this show don't pay the bills. It don't pay the electricity.
No.
We don't make no money doing this. We have real
No.
jobs.
The help that Julie Ferris and Pelican Training gives to us and the help that David Womack gives to us, that literally pays for the software and stuff that we use. The rest of it's on you and me.
Correct. So we have to go and do our regular jobs, and we were doing that. And then in between, we fill in on all this stuff. The people that say that, oh, we're doing this for our self-interest, I mean, obviously they have a justification for doing that. And I'm quoting one police juror that accused me of, well, you do this for your own self-interest. I mean, look, lady,
I hadn't seen you running for office lately.
It don't pay the bills. It don't whatsoever. But that's just another one of your weird, twisted things that you spew out there like venom.
Yeah.
But hey, the good news is, Rex, on our days off, I'm off on a tangent there. The good news is on our days off, we've been working a little bit. So I'm pretty confident that the next show, we're going to have Liz Morrell on the show to talk about her candidacy for the Louisiana Attorney General's race.
That could be very interesting because Jeff Landry is running for governor. As a matter of fact, he just had like a dinner deal or something last week, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to go on and hide it. I'm just going to go on and just let folks know where I stand. And I don't.
Gee, Duke, who are you supporting for governor?
I don't want there to be any dispute on where I stand. There. You have it.
Keep it honest, keep it real.
That's right. That's right. But
the good thing about being independent citizen, amateur journalist / pundit / whatever you want to call us is, well, we can support whoever we want and we can not support whoever we want. That's it. If you don't like it, well, make your own show.
Yeah, that's right. So, hey, Liz Morrell is going to come on. She's currently the Solicitor General, and she is involved in a lot of major cases. And I would argue that she's probably the backbone of Jeff Landry. And I know that they're litigating things right now in federal court on behalf of, all of America right now on some of these major cases, Missouri versus Biden. It's going to hit at the right time. I think that case is going to conclude right about the time that she's going to come on our show. So we probably are going to get dibs on her as soon as that ends. And it's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I'm excited about that. Sorry.
Yeah, so y'all need to make sure and stay tuned and watch the notices and all that. Okay, with all that said, let's go ahead. Let me see if I can bring Renee on. So I'm going to click this button. Renee, can you hear us? And I'm going to turn your audio up.
Yes, I can.
And we can hear you loud and clear.
Great.
Okay, so good to have you on. And I attended the meeting. Duke couldn't because you were either out working or gathering signatures. I forget which one, which are, I guess, both technically work, Duke. But
no, wait a minute. Rex, I want you to show a video, and I want to know what Renee Hall thinks about this young woman in this video. I want to know what Renee thinks, and the folks watching the show. Let's just go on and do a survey here. Do y'all think this is a good woman, or do you not think this is a good woman?
Okay, so first, let me see if I can bring it up. I'm going to hit play, which is going to start that stupid deal yet. Hold.
Last time you came,
I can get us all back up here. There we go.
So what
Well,
do
that
you think, Renee?
looked
Is
like
that
a
a
good
good
old
woman
country
or what?
girl. Yeah.
I tell you, I cannot stand snakes. I just can't stand them. So she's a bigger woman than I am, I can tell you, because I would not be touching that. I'm a little
Well,
concerned she threw it where there's a puppy dog.
well, lucky for everybody, that was not a snake. That was an eel.
Ooh,
My daughter and this week we were crawfishing and we caught an eel in a trap. And hey, she ruthlessly reached down in the trap, grabbed it out, held it up for the world to see, and threw it back out in the water. Free Willy.
Okay. So,
Renee's speechless.
yeah, you're
she,
raising her right, Duke.
yeah, I agree. You're raising her right. She's not afraid of nature, I guess.
Yeah, squirmy little things
Well,
slithing around. Sounds like some of our
well,
politicians.
yeah, I was going to say, speaking of eels and slippery sliding around, I mean, I understand there was some of that went on at the Cypress meeting, the Friends of Cypress Black Bayou meeting here the other night.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us about that, Renee? Just tell us about the group and what the meeting was about last night, and we'll get into some of the audio and all that here in a minute.
Okay, well, Friends of Cypress Black Bayou is a social group that is concerned about the future of the lake. It's mainly made up of residents on both lakes, and then, of course, those that love the park and the lake and just hanging out. There's been some things that have been happening, and so we wanted to keep people informed, and we were asked we need to form a group. So if you want to know more about it, just go to our Facebook page and like it, and then you'll know what we're all about. The other group that was invited is Bossier Taxpayers for Better Government. And that is when we had the issues. Well, actually, Dodie Horton passed that bill to make it so that on the Cypress board, the normally if a board member resigned, then the Cypress board was able to reappoint them. It just didn't seem right that they could appoint what should be representing another board. And so she went and when she went and passed that, it made it so that if we did petitions that they could reappoint someone. We could request that. And that's when we gathered up this group of people that were interested. And it's not just people on the lake, either lake. It does include them, but it also includes the people in Bossier Parish that will be voting on the millage for the lake to be funded. A lot of people think that it's just about us that live here on the lake, but it's not. That the waste that they have over there has to do with everybody in Bossier Parish. So we formed another group that wasn't just about people, Friends of Cypress, but also people that are in Bossier Parish that love Cypress and Black Bayou and they want to see it continue.
So to be clear, because in the past, I think the Friends of Cypress Black Bayou, there was like a membership deal or whatever, but now it's pretty much just social group.
Right.
You can just go join the group and kind of a loose coalition of people. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We'll try to meet whenever we can, maybe monthly, but there's no fee to join. There's not a president, vice president, anybody that wants to, share information on the Facebook page and keep people involved and engaged and also present the problems that are going on. It's just something that was needed, and I welcome anybody to join and to help us on that.
All right. So, Renee, you just said it basically, but I'm going to say it again and say it another way. And I don't remember this specific statistic or number or percent. Rex, you may remember it off the top of your head, but wasn't it somewhere to the tune of like 80 to 90% of folks in the parish or of the wards and precincts in this parish pay taxes for the Cypress Black Bayou district? And that is why this issue is important to everybody in the parish, because you all are paying taxes. This is your money. This is your lake, regardless of what these politicians would have you believe that it's theirs. I even heard one elected official, a legislator, say, well, it's their money. No, that's BS. It's not their money. It's not their land. It's nothing of that is theirs. It's ours. We all pay the bills. And these jackwagon elected officials, they are accountable to us, but they're only accountable to us if we step to the plate and we hold them accountable. The Friends of Cypress Black Bayou, that's what you guys are doing. You have meetings and you have these elected officials come, you tell them what you think, you provide a forum, right, Renee? For people to ask questions and to have them, because they don't answer questions. They don't answer questions at the Cypress Commission meetings. They are not accountable to the public. They are the kings over the public. I mean, am I just making that up, or, you know, does anybody dispute that? And should we play video or play audio of it?
Well, that's up to you if you want to. I mean, I had their attorney tell me basically to sit down and shut up. And I reminded him that he's not a board member and he did not have a right to do that. Also, as you mentioned, these are Bossier residents, taxpayers that are funding to the tune of about 1.2 million a year. They are funding the park. And lo and behold, that attorney that told me to sit down and shut up is part of a Shreveport law firm. And we voiced our opinion. Get a Bossier law firm. We don't want our dollars going to Shreveport. And of course, they just look at us with blind, and treat us like we don't have a right to even suggest that. So,
yeah, Duke, just to remind you, or to remind everybody, it's 65 of the 81 precincts in Bossier Parish pay the 1.54, 1.56, I think they rolled it forward or whatever once upon a time, property millage, tax millage to the Cypress District. And I would remind everybody, that's not just homeowners, that's also people that have businesses that pay ad valorem tax. So really, it's a tax on everybody in the parish. If you visit a business that's in one of those 65 out of 81 precincts and spend tax dollars there, spend money, you're paying for the Cypress District.
Hey, Rex, so what Renee just said, if you can show my share screen, I want to show the meeting that she was just talking about. I found it real quick while we were sitting here talking.
So hold on just a second. Let me see. Renee, this may cut you off for a second, but just hold on.
Yeah, we're not complete.
I'd love for people to see get treated at one of these meetings.
We're not complete amateurs because we just found this video just right after she made a reference to it.
Yeah, let's take a look and see. So Renee, you're still there in the background. All right, dude, go ahead.
It's a lawsuit made by one of the landowners out here on the lake, right? So one of the landowners is costing the district money, all right? That lawsuit today down in Baton Rouge, their lawsuit against the state has been dismissed. It's going to end up back up here. It's another frivolous lawsuit. You know, we all have problems with frivolous lawsuits. So that's really a question. It's not a comment, but I'll tell you that lawsuit's been going on for years because you have one of the landowners out here trying to take property from the district, which is public property. You don't pay for it, the district pays for it.
Okay, so it's not the.
You haven't gotten a bill for that lawsuit at
No,
your
but I
house.
just heard it was building, and so I will never have to pay. And one more thing.
I don't know what you mean by I'll never have to pay for it. You have to pay whatever fees and taxes, et cetera, that you pay, man.
But it won't be included, the lawyer fees won't be included on our landowner taxes.
You don't have a line item on landowner fees for lawsuits. You don't.
We don't put the district, but I have one more question.
No, there's no more questions, man. If you'd like to make a
more
comment,
questions.
you've had your chance to make a comment. You're asking questions, so this is not a question and answer time. I don't know what y'all cannot answer, ask, understand about that. And no, you don't have a question, ma'am. We're not answering questions.
You don't run this. This is run by the board. I'm addressing the president.
Renee, do you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Walt. I appreciate it.
Wow. Do you remember that meeting, Renee?
Honey, they're not going to intimidate me. I don't care how many fingers you point at me. You're not going to intimidate me now.
Now,
And
Wow.
we pay for that as taxpayers?
Pay a lot of, and to remind, well, just to remind everybody, we pay average of about $200,000 a year of tax dollars go to pay for Curtis Shelton and Lee Ayers and Alex to do that, literally to treat the taxpayers like that at the meetings. But anyway, I'm on my soapbox. Sorry, Renee.
No, I started it, but it's okay.
you did start it. I mean, look, but that's the point. In fact, I went to a police jury meeting. I mean, not a Cypress Black Bayou meeting. And I said, let me see if I understand the rules of the Cypress Black Bayou District here. I want to know. If I have a question, they were discussing the budget that night. I said, if I have a question, I have to know the question I'm going to ask before I come to the meeting, right? And they said, yeah. I said, okay, so I have to ask that before you have discussion. Yeah. And Alex Voisella, isn't that her name? Right? That
Close
female
enough.
attorney for yeah. And I said, so if you guys start having discussion after the question, or comment period for the public, which is before you have discussion, if I have a question, or let's say y'all decide you want to build a Ferris wheel in your discussion, I had to know that you were going to build or to have discussion about building a Ferris wheel before the meeting. How could I know that? And all she could say was, I don't understand what you're trying to say. I don't understand your question. Well, how am I supposed to telegraph what you're going to discuss before you discuss it and have a comment?
Well, I tell you, Duke, I think Doug Rimmer last night hit the nail on the head when he said it's the most dysfunctional board meeting that I've ever been to. And I said, hallelujah, somebody at the police jury has attended one of these meetings and understands what we're dealing with. And that's why this whole taking applications and replacing Robert Berry is so important, because that millage is coming up for voting. I mean, we will vote on it in the fall of 2024. And if they continue spending $200,000 a year on this crazy law firm and paying Robert Berry like $130,000 a year, why in the world would we want to keep spending money on that? Please tell me, because there's nobody at the park. I live right across from the park. It is empty. Every once in a while, there'll be a few campers that show up, but they get treated so rudely. And I mean, we've heard this over and over again. I will never go back to that park. I have never been treated.
Now, Renee, we had a guest, not even from here. I think, where was she at, Rex? Ohio?
Was that Ohio or Illinois or somewhere? Somewhere.
That contacted us, and we brought her on the show, and she talked about how horrible that they were treated and how historically they'd always come and how that they would never come back. And Robert Berry then a week later, I think it was a week later, goes to the police jury meeting and talks about how nothing that was said was the truth. It was all just lies and innuendo, blah, blah, blah. I mean,
Of course he.
but here's what I can't get. I can't understand this because I made the Benton Town Council meeting on the reappointment of Gary White. I was there. I heard that debate, and they basically rubber stamped Gary White again. And the police jury, I mean, they rubber stamped Robert Berry again the last time. And I got to be honest with you, I have no faith that they're going to do anything different this time. And in the back of my mind, as a lake resident, it makes me ask the question why? Why or what is it that precludes them from being able to make a decision that is on the or to the benefit of the public? What is it that Robert Berry has on all of them that won't allow them to make a different decision? I wonder what that is. I'm dying to know. Could it be, I mean, Robert Berry riding around on his private property on a Cypress Black Bayou backhoe? It, allegedly, I mean, allegedly, we showed the video on this show of him using, what was and the alleged part is that it's a park backhoe. But have any of y'all heard of any elected official that appoints anyone to that committee or any law enforcement ask, did he use park equipment for his own, self-interest on his private property? Is that video, has anybody heard that? Have y'all?
Crickets.
I hadn't heard nothing. But so I beg the question, what is it that all these elected officials have hanging over their head that they won't, ask those questions, or they won't do something different that's beneficial to the public who elects them?
Well, I can't believe that he's still over there when the Louisiana Supreme Court said that he is. It's definitely dual. What's it called, Rex? Dual
Office holding.
Dual office. And we heard, the police jurors last night tell us that he needs to go. Well, if they would boot him from the board, which they say, oh, if we do that, then the board can just reappoint someone. Well, that's not true anymore. Dodie Horton went to battle for us down in Baton Rouge, even though this board hired a lobbyist with our taxpayer dollars to go and fight Dodie on it. I mean, use your own money. We want this. Don't use our money. It's just unbelievable that they can get to continue to do that. And by the way, I believe the police jury was okay with it too, just so you know. And
Right.
it's not right that these government agencies can just throw around our taxpayer dollars. We work hard for that. It's not right. That's not what we elected them for.
So I want to address a question that I just put up on the screen from Grady Davis. Says, is the intent to remove the board and have this park run by the parish? Now, I can't speak for everybody involved in this. The intent is not really to remove the board. The intent is to have the board actually held accountable for their actions. And preferably, it would take legislation to do this, of course, preferably that the board be elected officials, not appointed bureaucrats. I don't think that we want to have the park taken over by the police jury. I mean, we can't trust the police jury anyway.
No, I would argue that you can't trust any of your elected bodies that appoint members to that body, because none of them have done a thing to help the situation. And in fact, I would contend that some of your elected officials who may not be getting any benefit from out there at the park have been made aware of things out at the park and asked to look into them, and they have done zero, nada, nothing. And maybe, should they find themselves in a contested race, that information will make it out in the public for all the voters to decide whether or not they represented them or they didn't represent them.
I agree. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me try to switch screens here and see if this works. Renee, if it cuts you off, just hold on a second. So let me see here. Let's see. Let's go to that screen and let me go to this. Oh, we did cut Renee off. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can add her back in.
Yeah. So Grady Davis, I mean, I want to jump in on that one as well too. If the park or the Cypress Black Bayou Recreation District can't be representative of the taxpayers of this district, and the police jury nor the Bossier, city government or any of the people who appoint, if they can't enable there to be a body that's representative of the taxpayers, and fair and equitable, and allow the taxpayers to have a voice and a say in the administration of this entity, then you know what? It needs to be taken away from them. It needs to go away, and it needs to go to somebody who will be accountable. Because as it is right now, they are unaccountable to anybody in this parish. Nobody. Zero, nada. The only person they're accountable to is Robert Berry, period.
Yeah, and so Grady did respond. He said that's kind of what I was getting at. Seems like a very difficult place. Yeah, difficult to say the least. Barry Butler, our good friend and former police juror, says the park needs to be handed over to the state for a state park. Well, that might not be a bad idea. And Andy Monica, our good friend Andy, says, I believe that the state should take it over too. So, okay, shall we get into some of this audio now? Renee, what I've got here is you probably can't see all the little timestamps, maybe, but I'm going to kind of go through some of these and then I'll pause it and we'll do some commentary on it and then we'll go to the next deal and all that. So I'm actually going to skip the intro to the meeting because you kind of introed that, what the Friends of Cypress Black Bayou is. But for a minute, can you tell us why you put this meeting together? What was it about yesterday?
Okay, so the last police jury meeting, I went to it, and one of the agenda items was to start taking applications for the board position at Cypress Black Bayou. And like I said earlier, who they select for this board is going to be huge because of the upcoming approval, voting on the tax millage. That the park can't manage without the tax millage, but at the way they're spending the money, it doesn't need to. So I just wanted to get Philip Rodgers in front of the people that really care about the lake and understand what's going on, and just let them know our criteria, what we're expecting in the form of who they select, and not just some good old boy that, oh, he's a good friend, he comes from a good family. That's what they said when they were appointing Gary Weish at the Benton the town
Well,
council.
Renee, I got to ask you, do you honestly believe they're going to allow someone other than a Gob Network member to have access to the data out there in the computers to show everything that's transpired out there? Do you really think they're going to allow somebody who's not a part of their crew to have access to all that?
I can only hope and pray, because something's got to give. We have to have some new blood out there. And they got the levy board, actually Alex Bozzella, the legal teams, one of their attorneys was the one that recommended Kelly Long. And I'm like, who is Kelly Long? What does she know about Cypress Lake? I mean, is that the best we can do? I'm sure she's a nice lady and all that, but is she really making a difference for the people that care about the lake? And that's the problem, and that's what we needed to let them know. We are watching, we are concerned, even though it didn't work when we went and pleaded with the Benton City Council. that's why we wanted to be proactive as much as we could. And I was very happy to see that Doug Rimmer, the president of the police jury, showed up also. I was really happy to see that, and because all Philip kept saying is, "Oh, well, we're going to have 7 people, and all I can do is vote." And I said, "Let me tell you, Philip, if you don't get the right person on here, if you're running for reelection, it's not going to be good.
Well,
It's
look,
not."
I don't want to bust your bubble, but I want to take you for a history lesson on Doug Rimmer. It's great that he showed up and said what he said, but Doug Rimmer is the same guy who said that, well, we've been robbing Peter to pay Paul and Paul's broke. Yeah, I would support a half a cent, half a cent sales tax increase on gas. And then said he didn't say that when it was recorded on radio. Doug Rimmer is also the same guy that came to a Republican Parish Executive Committee meeting. And when I raised the issue of Robert Berry in the Park District, Doug Rimmer said if he would have offered his resignation, I would have accepted it. But we never had that. Me and Rex went back and we found it where not only did Doug Rimmer, when Robert Berry offered his resignation, Doug Rimmer declined it and made the motion to reappoint him. So I don't want to bust your bubble, but don't have a lot of faith in Doug Rimmer.
Was that the last time they appointed him 5 years ago?
No, this was back in 2013, and I even pulled up. We've got it posted on Bossier Watch. I've got the minutes of the Cypress District meeting back then, the minutes of the police jury meeting, and just a slight correction, Duke, because if Doug's watching, he may want to correct us. Doug didn't make the motion. He seconded the motion, and they refused to accept Robert Berry's resignation. It was his resignation as president of the board, though, to be clear. So you can go back on Bossier Watch, or I'll try to reshare it. But I started to bring that up last night. Well, dang, Doug, how come you didn't accept his resignation the first time? Because it was dual office holding back then, same as it is now. And I don't know if you know, Renee, I've gone back through the audio recordings of those meetings when they first appointed Robert Berry as interim executive director and then permanent, executive director or whatever. And there was discussion about the dual office holding back then from people in the meetings. So this is not new at all. This was brought up way back then.
And Kelly Long, I'm sorry, I'm being rude to our guest. Go ahead, Renee.
No, I thank God for Jeff Landry that brought it to light and didn't settle for Skylar Marvin trying to make, they jumped out there so fast with, shocked me at the police jury meeting, telling me, "Oh, here we've got a lawsuit against him." Well, it wasn't against Robert Berry; it was against Jeff Landry.
Share my screen, Rex.
All right, hold on just a second. So we'll lose you again for a second, Renee, but hold on.
For everybody watching, this is what Renee is talking about. Here we go.
Last time you came, you had a letter that gave the district attorney so much time to bring a lawsuit over the subject. That's the lawsuit.
So what does this mean? Does this mean
that the district attorney has asked a court to determine whether the attorney general is correct or not?
It's the attorney general. Give me a break. Come on.
Well, now the Supreme Court has said, now the Supreme Court has said, hey, good old boys, you know what? The attorney general is right.
And he's still there.
And he's still there. And they have filed an appeal or whatever they call
it. Law don't go around here. Savvy?
Okay. So let's get into some of this audio.
Well, wait a minute. Before we get into the audio, one more thing. I want to point out this Kelly Long person. So it's probably a surprise to the majority of folks out. And I don't know Kelly Long. She may be a great person, but she's got one notch against her. I mean, word has it, she's an attorney. And here's another notch against her. Supposedly, she is said to have a suite with one former judge, now city attorney Charles Jacobs, and one Judge Smith out at Louisiana Downs. They've got a suite together. They're all big buds and pals. So I guess she was just some random person off the street that was cherry picked that would be non-biased and represent the citizens of Bossier Parish, unbiasedly, no association with the Good Ole Boy Network, nothing to see here. Move along, Kelly Long, go ahead on.
Duke, you'll be glad to know that Philip Rodgers did say Good Ole Boy Network at this meeting.
Oh, he didn't. Are you kidding me?
Oh no, I'm very serious. I think I've got it in the notes here. This is I don't even know where to begin. Here's where I'm going to start this. So fast forward to Renee's introduced the meeting and Kay's done her little spill. Renee, if you want, we can post the whole audio later if people want to listen to it or whatever. But I'm going to start where Philip starts. All right, so just bear with me here.
Asked here by David Renee Hall to give y'all an update on what's going on with Robert. The only thing I can tell y'all, because the only thing I know is the jury has made a decision to advertise for his reappointment. Now, when his reappointment comes up, I can't speak for not one other juror but Philip Rodgers. And I don't know what they're going to decide. They're taking applications. If they decide to remove him, they decide to remove him. Now, if y'all got any questions, y'all can ask me. But other than that, that's it. I mean,
it reminds me, what was that show with what was the German Hogan's Heroes? I know nothing.
Was that Philip Rodgers?
That was Philip.
What? Well, what did he say? He was going to vote for him?
Well, he kind of weaseled around about it. Now, I've got a quote here later that I think you'll find interesting. But, in that quote, he didn't say he was going to vote for or against him, even though he was speaking for Philip Rodgers only, talking about himself in the third person. But anyway.
Well, look, I think we've alluded to it to the past, but I think people should know where what deck of cards Philip's playing from.
Well, interestingly that you say that, Duke. So our good friend Annie Monica says, are you going to mention the 99-year lease?
Well, that was exactly what I was going to mention, because as it would turn out, when I first heard about that issue a long time ago, I asked a police jury woman to inquire about that and to find out some information on that. In fact, Rex, if you will go to sharing my screen again, you will see the beginning of a text chain. And
you're full of screenshots. Hold on, Renee, we're going to lose you again.
The very first text, or this is the kind of halfway, it was on February the 11th, I think, of this year. And I said, correct. He will want to know why you're asking. If you tell him I'm asking, he's going to tighten up like a prune. Might not be comfortable for you after that. But I can tell you, to date, I don't know that she's inquired about that Good Ole Boy deal of a 99-year lease that Philip Rodgers got from his good friend Robert Berry out there at the park.
Well, as it so happens, and let me switch screens back over here with Renee, so hold on just a second. As it happens, I have a copy of the whole deal. You do realize that, the lease and all.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, I do.
See there, you're outdoing yourself. I'm sorry, Renee. We haven't had this fun in a long time.
Now, in his defense, I'll give Philip cut him just a wee little bit of slack. In full disclosure, Philip did pay me to help him with his campaign, which to this day I regret.
Can you or I get the deal that he got? That's all I want to know.
Oh, ain't none of us certainly getting any kind of deal from the Cypress Park. And as a matter of fact, he even mentions his deal with his boathouse in this audio too. But to be clear, according to Philip, the land that he leased didn't have any real value anyway because of how it drained across the road or something. I forget the whole deal right there by his house. So it's not like they gave him 10 acres of lakefront property right there by, David and Renee and Mike Collier and on Merritt Road right there. It's a small wedge of land, and I'd have to look it up on the map. So to be clear, he didn't get lakefront, beachfront property, but he did get the land on a 99-year lease for, I forget what it was. It was some $99 or something easy. I mean, it was crazy.
$50.
$50. Okay. Thank you, Renee. I've got it right here in front of me, but I hadn't scanned back through it in a while. So, yeah, here I'm looking at the lease right here. It was in 2013, beginning on August 13th of 2013. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can share this screen. Let's see. How am I going to do this? Let me go over here.
Last time you came.
I can't make that guy shut up for nothing. Wow. Hold on, Renee. We're cutting you off again but only for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
So here's the public information request and all that. Let me skip over here. So Andy, to answer your question, there's the deal from Mike Coyle to Robert Berry about the lease and all that. And here's the actual lease. And look, Philip asked me once upon a time, he was like, I'm sure y'all are going to talk about my lease, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we may get around to it. But there's the lease. I'll be sure and post that to the Facebook page afterwards. Okay. So now that I've been off on the Philip Rodgers lease tangent.
So I'm just wondering if he doesn't back if he doesn't back Robert Berry, will he be in danger of losing his 99-year lease, Good Ole Boy, Cypress, Black Bayou District land deal?
Sure, they'll find some way of weaseling out of it. So, Renee, did they offer you and David any kind of 99-year lease deal on your little, what was it, 3-foot, 5-foot piece of property that?
Yeah, we needed. It was basically it's 2 decks, and
right.
And we got Robert told us to do a land swap. Then when he was deposed, he said he'd never heard of a land swap. Imagine that. David and I nearly fell out of our chairs, and we needed just a corner. Basically they said you're going to have to tear down part of your house, and we said no. You gave us permission. We got a email that Robert Berry said the board is okay with it. That was sent to the MPC to allow for us to get a building permit, and we sent all the plans to their attorney. And then whenever we needed to make a change to the legal description, all of a sudden it's like none of the board members knew that we even added on. And then we've got their attorneys over here at our house taking all these pictures, and we're like, Lee Ayers, we sent you the plans, we asked you about the decks, and he admitted that he never even opened our email. Boy, aren't we doing
that?
Yeah. And so, $100,000 later, they wouldn't settle for 2 years. We kept saying, okay, let's settle. What do we need to do? We're not tearing down our house. That's ridiculous. You gave us permission, and now you're reneging. So, of course, Weish and Fowler would not agree. And even when the judge, 2 years later, we get in front of a judge and he said, this is ridiculous. Y'all should have settled this long time ago. And I'm not even going to hear this. This should have been done. And he said, you've got till 11 o'clock and you come up with a settlement, or I'm going to settle it for you and you are not going to like it. Would you believe they still would not do they kept insisting on a unanimous vote. That's their deal. Unanimous vote. I so hope we get a board member in there that can talk some sense into at least 2 or 3 of those, and we can start getting some real benefit to this lake and get rid of Robert Berry. I mean, he lied. He lied about what he did for us. And so anyway, $100,000 later, the judge said, the halls prevail. Thank you. And there's the taxpayer dollars that have just been wasted. And they wonder why it's important that we get this right. And of course, we tear down our house. Thank you. And, parts of our house, we don't have to tear it down. But it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they are allowed to treat people like that are hardworking, honest citizens that deserve to have a normal life.
You
Thank
know,
God for
Renee,
no.
Yeah, go ahead, Duke.
I know exactly what you mean, and Juliana Parks agrees.
You're killing me, Duke. You're killing me.
You've got to share it.
Oh, you're killing me. Let me hold on. Let me switch back. Duke is just full of it tonight. Here we go.
You've got to, Rex.
Amen.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Juliana.
All right. So anyway, yeah, Duke wants to know. Ashley Bullock wants to know: are we bearing false witness tonight? No, this is actually all part of the court records and public records tonight, Ashley. As usual, we have data and documents to back it up. Okay. I don't even know where we were. So, but one thing I want everybody to notice when Philip's talking. He keeps saying he's just one juror. He's just one juror, and he can't do anything. Have you ever heard of being a statesman or actually being a representative of the people and making your stance and your position well known to possibly influence the decision making of your fellow police jurors, Philip? Has that thought ever crossed your mind, or you just keep weaseling under the cover of you're only 1 out of 12? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm guessing Juliana Parks isn't going to be with him. Although I don't know. Maybe.
You never know. All right, let's move forward with some more because her name does get mentioned later. I don't know if I have it queued up, but anyway. All right, so this is some more Phillips. Well, some more Philip. Let's put it that way.
That's it. I mean, we have no jurisdiction over partner record. We have no jurisdiction over the other 4 board members. Now, I was here, not here, but I was at David Renee's house when I was trying to get elected, and a lot of y'all were in the room. And y'all asked what we were going to do with Robert Berry at that point. When I got elected, I was elected to a board with 12 members, and I couldn't do anything by myself. You have to have 7 votes for anything to happen. When I got elected, I asked what was going on. I was explained to what.
All right, I'm going to stop right there for a second, Renee. So I'm going to ask you directly. Did you have conversations with Philip Rodgers before he was elected about Robert Berry?
Absolutely.
And I know I did, literally in Philip's truck while we're driving around town shooting video for his campaign. Philip and I were talking about Robert Berry. So for him to act like he got elected and then he started checking into it is complete BS. That's why I almost couldn't. It was all I could do to keep my mouth shut last night, Renee.
I saw blood coming from your lip, I think, Rex.
It was something. All right, so I'm going to fast forward a little bit, and Duke, feel free to interject at any time. But our good friend Mike Collier did have an excellent point here to make. So let me jump forward just a few minutes.
Body has representatives for districts. Mm-hmm. And if a particular problem result or is in your district, usually they defer to you.
They do.
They give you opportunity to make your case.
They do.
That's the way the senators, that's the way the representatives, and it's the way it ought to be in the police jury district.
I agree.
And I know you got problems from time to time up there.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's got a brother-in-law that might serve, and I know how that works. But I would ask you to make that clear.
Yeah. Well, and so I can say this. I didn't realize how political this job was. And how many people, not my job, Robert Berry's job, as a board appointee for the lake. I mean, this has been a month since we've known this.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. So Mike Collier's point, was pretty valid right there, that the juror or representative or whatever the case may be of an area or a district, typically they, the rest of the legislative body or entity or whatever it is defers to that person to kind of lead them or educate them on what's going on. Would you agree with that, Mr. Lowry?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was off in the rabbit hole just a little bit. And if you wanted to share my screen, but remember the point we're at was I wanted to back up something that Renee just said a while ago. So for everybody watching, you heard Renee talk about Robert Berry saying land swap. Well, with the magic of the internet, guess what? I found that email. You share my screen, there you go. At the very bottom there, Rex, I don't think, from Robert Berry, June 30th, 2016 to Carlotta Brown. We did land swap, but I need to see the plans on plot.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that.
I had never heard of a land swap, and he told in that deposition that it was our idea. we're shocked.
Well, anyway.
And Walt Bigby, we invited both of them to our home and showed them the plans and said, we think we may be encroaching on the district's property. And before we build, we want to make sure that what we do, we follow all the rules that we're supposed to. So here we had the president at that time, the executive director, and they had to send our plans to their attorney. And still, their deal at the end of this thing was that we didn't get a permit from them. I'm sorry. Why didn't you give us one? We told you what we were doing.
Now I'm sorry, Louis Bazaar, not all of us know wrong did not vote for Rodgers. I did not vote for Rodgers. I did not. Absolutely not.
And I've said many, many times, in full disclosure, he literally paid me to help him with his campaign. And while I'm glad he paid me, I regret now, after the fact, having helped him on his campaign. I've been crystal clear about that. And I like Philip. He's a nice guy personally, but politically, nah, not a chance.
But
I just explained at the meeting, Philip, this is huge. If you expect to be reelected, you've got to get this right, and you need to tell all those jurors, if you like me and you enjoy me being a part of this team, I got to have the right votes. You got to look at who my constituents are wanting on the board. I mean, that just makes sense to me.
Look, I'm going to go out here and say, because y'all are friends with Philip, I don't consider he and I friends, so I don't care, but I don't think it would hold back from y'all. He has not represented the interests of the people in this district, and there's a lot of people that like him. And for all of you folks that like him and thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, I'm just going to ask each and every one of y'all, can y'all get a 99-year lease on property from the Cypress District? Can you get that? I'm just wondering, I mean, what other sweet deals have other people gotten at the park? Do you think your good friend Philip would appoint or vote to appoint someone who would shed some transparency on the activities that have taken place out there at the park? Do y'all think he would do that, or is he going to appoint or vote for another good old boy or just rubber stamp Robert Berry again? And to those jurors that are outside of the area in other races, do you think she or they are going to vote for anyone else? I don't think so. And I mean, and what other things are going to come out here in the near future? I'm just wondering.
Well, Renee, I've got a question for you, and I mentioned this before, so I'm going to present it here live on the show too, because I got a friend of mine that's probably watching. So I have some friends. I don't know if they've closed on the property yet, but they bought a small, I think it's maybe an acre, not even quite an acre piece of property up there. And they're only going to have, I don't know, maybe 10 feet that's actually at the water or close to it. And so they were like, oh, great. We'll be able to come out there and we'll be able to dig out, 20 or 30 feet and build us a boathouse and all that. As a landowner, and Duke, you as well on Black Bayou, what is your recommendation to them? Should they just go ahead and hire somebody to start dredging this out, or what's the deal?
Are you asking me?
Well, I'm asking you.
Well, okay. First of all, I would wait and see if Robert Berry gets booted out of there, because he'll tell you one thing and then he acts like he didn't, and he'll tell you, I am the board. You know, you say, well, don't I have to go get permission or whatever? No, I am the board. What I say goes. So that would be my first thing. If you have him come over and you need to record and you need to video everything that he says, but honestly, I have seen it where people have been at the meetings and they said it was a doctor actually, and he had told her that she could do that very thing. And then when she went and got the plans done and paid the engineer to show that it was not going to mess up anybody's flowage or anything like that, when she went to get final approval, they denied it. And she looked at Robert Berry and she said, "You are a liar. You told me I could do this. I just spent $5,000 on engineering plans, and you told me that it would be okay." So, lesson learned. And
Yeah.
she sat
Now,
right there and said that.
now, Renee, one of your police jurors says that we shouldn't bear false witness on all these things. In fact, me and Rex are frequently accused, of being, in fact, a police juror said we were all cockroaches. And, we've been accused of being cohorts and a ton of different names for putting truths out there. But to them, we're bearing false witness when we try to put truths out there. What do you think? Do you think telling the story of someone who's being abused by their government is bearing false witness? Or I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's the way that is?
I think the truth shall set you free. And I am a strong Christian woman, and we are supposed to tell the truth. And I think it's time that the good old boys know that our God is stronger than anything that they might think or that they may worship. That's all I can tell you. It's dark over there, and it needs to go away. It's very
I would,
dark.
I would agree with that. And our good friend David Womack says, y'all are called a lot of names. I'm sure we're called plenty of things. It's,
Well, the one
so,
child of God, and that's what
yeah.
I am. And they took God's money, not my money. So they're going to have to answer to that. And that's why I've been able to let it go, but I'm going to tell the truth, and I can tell the truth now that it's all over. And people need to know, be very careful if you ask Robert Berry to come over and give you permission to do something, video it and record it.
Yeah, but
Good
That's all
it's
I know.
really not just Robert Berry. That commission out there, they've enabled Robert Berry along with the police jury and the boards that have appointed all those people out there. They can't just say they don't know. They can't just say that there's nothing that they can do. The police jury, you were up there screaming at them, and they did nothing but just rubber stamp Robert Berry right back. I went to the PEC meeting, and I've got it recorded. Juliana Parks and Doug Rimmer, they wouldn't do any. They wouldn't allow anything to be done about Robert Berry, not via the PEC. They wouldn't. I tried to use the Republican Parish Executive Committee as a body to try to bring that issue to the forefront. Wouldn't allow it to happen. Wouldn't allow it to happen. Most recently, a resolution was brought forward to the RPEC to call for an ethics investigation about Bossier City and Manchac and that business going on down there. Wouldn't allow it to happen. A police juror got up, and that's where we were talking about the bearing false witness. She stood up there and said, I don't agree with this. We're bearing false witness. Well, if it's not an organization like that, I guess it's supposed to fall on individual people when it arrives at your doorstep, when government comes at your doorstep and says, oh, by the way, give us all your money so that we can pay for Robert Berry's salary so he can continue to run people out of the park. So he's got a private place for all of the influential people to have their little party town,
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you, Duke, that man that was pointing his finger at me, that is the law firm that they've hired. that they've
Yep.
had paying $200,000 a year last year. That's who I understand. That's who Robert Berry just got to file his appeal against the Louisiana Supreme Court.
So wait a minute.
So
Are
Whoa,
you
whoa, that's
suggesting?
news. That's news to me.
So are we saying that potentially the taxpayers are paying for Robert Berry's defense with the heirs law firm? Is that
all I can tell you,
potentially maybe?
there are a lot of other law firms out there. In fact, he used Machota last time, I believe. And why now is he using? I mean, to me, is that a conflict of interest, or am I just crazy?
Well, they say
I
we're
think
crazy, and
don't,
you're friends of ours, so
don't you have that appeal
Yes.
information
Yeah, and
that would have
yeah, and
signature on?
I got sidetracked in the comments here for a second, but yes, we did post that. I think it was last week or week before last, where they're doing an appeal or whatever the legal term is. And we've talked to a mutual attorney friend of ours who said, well, yeah, but they're probably going to kick that back and say, no, we've already ruled on it. Back to the 26 JDC you go. So we'll see where that ends up. But either way, it's an easy way for heirs and, Curtis Shelton to bill more taxpayer dollars.
do all of y'all watching the show, do y'all think it would be appropriate for the attorneys of the Cypress District to be paid for representing, Robert Berry in a dual office holding case that the Supreme Court of Louisiana has already told him you're wrong? I mean, y'all think that's right? I mean, if y'all all think that's right, please let us know, because I'm ready to check out of this show and be done with trying to, open the eyes of the public to what's going on with your local government bodies. Because if you don't get it and you don't see it, this is a hopeless case. Am I right?
And thanks to Kate Bloomfield, motion for reconsideration. I believe that is what is in the filing. All right.
He's like that, like the little bunny. He won't stop going. It's like,
yeah, just all right. So speaking of let's go by, or to use the phrase that our good friend David Womack loves. Let's circle back to Philip Rodgers, because did you know that Philip has only received 20 complaints about Robert Berry? Let's listen for just a second.
When I said everybody, and I told David this the other day, I personally, Philip Rodgers, have received maybe 20 phone calls from people on that lake since I've been on the police jury, complaining about Robert. And they always start with, Robert told me no, I'm in a lawsuit with Robert, I'm mad because he's charging me this. I'm just telling you what Philip Rodgers has had a phone call conversation. I go to...
All right, Renee. So,
yeah.
I think it was you, because that's where the famous, I think it was where the famous quote about the AG being correct or not, it was that meeting or maybe one of the others, but it was you that turned in how many signatures?
Over 500. When he was at our house, he looked around. We were talking about, Robert Berry has got to go. He has just caused so much conflict with the people at the park, the homeowners, everybody. And he said, well, there's only like 20 people here. So I really can't do anything just because 20 people aren't happy with him. But if you could get me, say, 200 or 300 signatures, well, then, yeah, I'll go to bat for you. I'll go in there and I'll tell him something's got to change. So what do? But we present over 500 signatures to the police jury from taxpayers, Bossier taxpayers. That was the Bossier Taxpayers for Better Government. And they said, oh, well, we're going to have to verify this. In the meantime, Doty was down in Baton Rouge trying to pass the bill that would make it where they could remove him and they could appoint somebody else. And what do? But they hire a lobbyist. How much was that, Rex? Wasn't it like 20,000?
It was 20 or 30,000, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, taxpayer dollars to fight Doty, and they came back, and what the lobbyists got approved was that not only do you need signatures, but you have to have the tax assessment number for their property to prove that they live in the district that votes on the tax millage. I mean, could you make it any harder for the citizens to do that? So it's just the good old boys that continue to disrupt, and it's just wrong. It's in the police jury, and I tell you who runs that police jury is Patrick Jackson. Every time you ask him to do something, I got to run it by Patrick. Oh, I got to run it by Patrick. Oh, we got to make sure we don't get sued. Well, it's Robert Berry. You're afraid of suing you. Get a clue. He needs to go.
Interesting you say that, Renee, because that's a perfect segue into the next quote from Philip. Go ahead, Duke.
Well, I was going to say, is that they're afraid that Robert would sue them or that Robert would expose them? I don't know.
Good question. Here we go.
Today is we talk to Patrick, we talk to Butch, we talk to the other jurors, and they make a decision whether we do it or we don't do it. And that's it. I wish I could get some more rock and some roads that are in my district or some more asphalt, but we only have so much money to spend on the roads we have.
Oh, there you go. They got to run it by Butch, they got to run it by Patrick, or they ain't doing nothing.
Why don't y'all dig some ditches to prevent some flooding issues? I mean, I can think of a lot of public citizens that were at one of your last police jury meetings that were pleading to not flood their homes and asking for some help. I mean, but you're worried about throwing more concrete, and other people are worried about their homes flooding.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so I'm going to fast forward to a quote that I think you will really appreciate, Duke. Now, this was in response to our good friend Mike Collier, who was asking a question about, and there were multiple people that were wondering about this, what the criteria is for somebody to be appointed to the Cypress Board. And so here was Philip's response.
And Doug can back me up on this. You know, when I got on the jury, I hear Good Ole Boy Network, Good Ole Boy Network. I was the main guy that pushed for applications to be presented so we can look over them and we can pick some. True? You know, other than, hey, so-and-so wants this, let's go and appoint him and let's move on. I push for that. And so that's what we're doing right now. We're taking applications. When we get the applications, I'm sure we're going to have a committee meeting, an open committee meeting that people can come, and we're going to talk about the applications. We may get 3 and we may get 100. I just don't know that answer yet.
Okay.
Well, I mean, how many applications did they get for parish administrator?
Did they even open, if they got them in writing, did they even open the envelopes?
Well, I'm thinking that they didn't even open them or read them, because had they opened them or read them, they would have found that the one that they picked, I mean, he didn't even freaking live in the parish, didn't even meet the criteria to be it by the state law, didn't even meet it. But I guess reading's out of the question. So I'm at a loss here for that one.
Now, Renee, I want to pitch this kind of over to you. Philip said basically there, and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but said that, you know, he was the main one that went to bat and tried to get applications in for another person and all that. I think I remember Philip and our good friend Juliana Parks, Duke's best friend, praising Robert Berry at one of those meetings. Do you recall that, Renee, or was Philip really fighting for what he said he was going to fight for at your house and to other people, and literally what we talked about in his pickup truck?
Well, I can tell you what he told me and David is that park's never looked so good. I said, yeah, they borrowed $5 million. Let's hope that at least some of it went toward fixing up the park. And, you know, it might look good, but I can tell you nobody is over there. Every once in a while, there'll be a camper or two, but you never see anybody at the beach, and it doesn't even open except for until Memorial Weekend. My gosh, it's been beautiful. People could be at the beach. They could be, you know, hanging out in the park. why do you only open it like 4 months out of the year for patrons to come and enjoy it? You can't make money that way. There's no publicity. We used to have Easter egg hunts over there. Families would come. We used to have skiing events and we had an international wakeboard competition here. Boats were flyboard, and boats were all hanging out. And Robert Berry got mad because they put their equipment in the wrong place. David, it's loud. They put their equipment in the wrong place and got them upset. And so they said, we're never coming there again. The last
Yeah,
triathlon
but
is the
yeah,
tallest
but
we've ever had in I don't know how many years.
yeah, but Renee, he's having the private fish fries for everybody out there, and that
Free stuff.
trumps everything you just said.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to play the next quote, and this is Philip talking about the job description.
I was putting out a job description. I would put on the top of the letter, Philip Rodgers, not the jury. I would put, everybody mad at you because you're the guy that voted no. That's what I would put. Are you going to be able to deal with it? Because that's what your job's going to be. And it feels like to me that the other 4 board members that are up there are not going to be happy with you because they want to keep Robert where he's at.
So, apparently, Phillips talked to the other board members, and they all want Robert to stay there. And apparently, all you landowners just pissed off people. What do you have to say to that, Renee?
The fact that whoever takes over and goes in there, he thinks they're going to be angry to him, shows the character of the board members that are over there and why we want them gone and why we should be voting for who represents the people in Bossier Parish and the people that love the lake instead of these boards that could care less who they appoint. And trust me, I'm going to be talking to Dodie about that when she wins her election and let her know that we will back her as much as we can to make it an appointment instead of appointed by these, the city council, the Bossier City Council, and all these different. Anyway, we should be voting on who should be representing us over there, not these boards that could care less or that think they need to put somebody that comes from a good family. Do you know that man doesn't even know how to read budgets? He couldn't answer questions about where they were on their budget. But he comes from a good family, Rex.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I remember that meeting well. And
I
speaking
mean,
of...
and look, they're above reproach, Rex. Share my screen. I want to show you a August 10th, 2021 letter from the Cypress Black Bayou District. You see the letterhead right there. August 10th, 2021. Correction of misinformation that, the ilk like us were putting out there. And I'm just going to jump on down to the bottom right here. Dual office holding. At this point, any allegations that Mr. Berry's position as a board member and as executive director constitutes a dual office holding violation is blatantly and intentionally false. This issue has been decided and litigated by the 26th JDC and found that there was no violation.
That's that, except for
that's
the Supreme
that.
Court.
You peons out there that pay your taxes, you shut up and you'll pay whatever we and our Good Ole Boy network say you're going to pay, and you can't do anything about it.
How their words, and how their words come back to haunt them. That's why we want things in writing or recorded if possible. So let's go on. I'm going to cue up the video a little bit more, and we got the best quote of all coming up, folks, near kind of the end of this. Y'all aren't going to believe what Philip says at the end. Let's see. Here we go. This is Philip talking about how many boards the police jury has.
So, I think it's going to be the worst job in Bossier Parish, but that's just my opinion. But I would love to see somebody. I know John Fulco. I know he's a good man who does things right. I would love to see John Fulco put his name on an application because I personally know him. I know he would make the right decisions for the lake.
I second that.
But I can't pick John Fulco. Now, I would hope Doug's the president we're friends. We've become friends during this time. I would hope I could go to Doug and say, Doug, I know John. He's a good guy. People respect him. Can we give him a second look? And then I could go to people and get that. But I can't tell you I can or can't.
But other than that, like you said.
All right,
there's
right
no
after
data
this.
sheet. Is there a description is there any criteria at all?
Well, I mean, any board, we appoint over 140 boards in Bossier Parish. Any board is just basically, hey, Sam's a good guy. He worked for the police, he did this, he did that. What do y'all think? Do you think he'll serve this board well? I mean,
Did you know that there were 140 boards in Bossier Parish, Duke?
I had no idea there was 140 boards, but how many of those 140 boards have the idea that they can pay themselves the highest salary in the country and can tax the citizens into infinity?
Infinity and beyond. All right, so I'm going to jump up here. This is Philip talking about he wants to be involved in his district.
now, me personally, I'm going to be really involved because it's in my district, and next year it'll be in Doug's district with the new lines. And so, you know, I will.
And so, you know, Renee, now you'll have Doug Rimmer, apparently.
Yes.
Wait, say that again?
According to Philip.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know where the line went.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it goes either, so it may not go all the way up to y'all, but I was being a little facetious there.
Okay.
Okay, this is, let's see. Oh, this is our good friend Renee. I've heard that name before. Let's hear what Renee had to say at her meeting.
With this being your district, there's 880 families, homes, and on those 2 lakes.
Yeah.
And there's usually, I would say, probably a big percentage is going to have 2 people in there. And that is a huge part of
My district.
yes, of your district. So I hope that the police jury will take into consideration how important this is for your reelection. Because honestly, this could make or break you, Philip.
Okay. Little veiled threat there, Renee.
No, it's common sense. I mean that is, if you look at how many votes he got, he needs the votes around these 2 lakes for sure. And if he doesn't get, he needs to let them understand this is my district. You need to vote with who my constituents really want on this board. And, you know, I know Philip has the right, he has his heart out for what he's doing. He's a good guy and he means well. And he, you know, anybody that is willing to get out there and serve, I have respect. But it depends on how they serve their constituents, or if they just go with the flow and they don't take up for them. That's where the rubber meets the road.
Well, speaking of rubber meeting the road, let's hear Philip give his side of the complaints that he's received.
That, and I'm just telling you my side, okay? My side is, we're here tonight and let's say there's 25 people. Let's say there's 30. I've had personally more phone calls than in this room. Why are we doing this to Robert Berry? So if we're talking about votes.
What about the 500 votes?
I understand that, but I'm telling you right now, I've had 5 phone calls this weekend wanting to know why I'm doing this to Robert Berry. Now,
5 calls this weekend. I wonder if that was from any local politicians or judges or anything like that, hypothetically, that could have been given RV or camping spots or anything like that. I wonder if that's who got the calls from, or was it actual constituents? I'm just wondering.
That's a good question. But you know what? I say to those that are watching that are ready for Robert Berry to be gone, light his phone. If that's what he's going on, light up his phone.
But I mean, that is ludicrous. That is stupid. I mean, and I know you're saying he's a nice guy. I'm going to go on out there and say, no, he's not a nice guy. I'll take the other side of this equation. Y'all can be nice. I'm not going to be nice. I mean, Why would I call Philip Rodgers? I've talked to Philip Rodgers before. He didn't listen to a damn thing we said. I went to that meeting in Benton, the Benton church up there, and he came up there. He told everybody in the building, there must have been 50 to 100 people in that room. He told everybody in that room, he stood up there and he said, y'all don't know what you're talking about regarding the Cypress District. He basically said, piss on all of y'all and all of your opinions. Why would anybody who lives on the lake call Philip Rodgers? Because he doesn't give a damn about you if you live on the lake. He doesn't. I'm sorry. Y'all are being nice. I'm saying it like it is. He could give a squirt of piss about everybody up here. He doesn't care. He only cares about getting reelected and being up there with his buddies on the police jury. I'm sorry. Because if he truly was about what he was doing, he would have walked the walk, which y'all helped him get elected. Y'all helped him. He made a commitment that he was going to do something about the park, and he's done zero, nada, nothing. Show me. What is he doing?
Well,
I didn't say I was going to vote for him, Duke. I just said his wife is super nice. I love her. She's adorable. I wish she would run.
yeah, Jenny's great, but and you're right. I'd forgotten about that meeting, Duke. That's where I forgive the language, Renee, but pretty much lost my shit with Philip that night.
He said, everybody, y'all are all don't know what you're talking about. You're ignorant. Philip Rodgers, come to my house right now and come look at my $12 or $13 or $14,000 seawall that's fell in the freaking lake thanks to the Cypress District. No thanks to any help from the police jury. None, zero, nada. Why would I call you? You're useless.
All right, let's listen to Philip saying that he's not going to stand beside Robert Berry. So drum roll, please. Here we go.
I'm doing it because a ruling come down from the Supreme Court. They said he was wrong, and I can't stand beside somebody that said that they were wrong. End of discussion. Okay? Now, that.
All right, y'all heard it right there. End of discussion. That's it. So we're going to count on Philip. I mean, we already know where Doug's weaseled over to the right side, supposedly now. So we've got Philip right there on audio saying he can't stand beside somebody because the Supreme Court said that he's in the wrong.
Yeah.
Does that help you, Duke? Is that good enough for you, Duke?
It doesn't take all your neighbors, Philip, telling you, even though you disregard and only count them for 5. I mean, he must be using Dominion or something to count votes. I mean, only counting 5 freaking people. I mean, it takes a Supreme Court to get Philip Rodgers to move, but all of the people that live around him telling him, hey, you got a jack wagon up there screwing everybody over. No, he don't want to listen to none of that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not sold. I think he would sell his soul. I'm sorry, not sold.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward. Let's get in some comments from our good friend, Taxman Doug Rimmer. All right, let's cue that up.
Appreciate y'all. That's one of the qualifications you have to live in both parishes. So that is one.
Oh, so that's on the qualification?
That's one. That's one. You just have to thought. And what you said, you started out 80% of the parish pays taxes into this district.
And
so,
it's coming up.
So that's why it's not just his district. My son now lives on Black Mountain. He bought them. That's where he's planning to retire. And but I'll tell you this, he's not going to be he's not going to be the designee. I've been to because you hear these stories about the meetings and what a farce they were. I don't want to rehash, but I went to see myself. Went to a couple of meetings. And I had a friend I went to high school with and lives out on the lake, and he was having some issues trying to get things worked out. It should have been. But when I got there, the other people there having in the same boat. It's a bad boat, leaking boat. It's the most dysfunctional board that I'm sure.
All right, Renee. Now, I'm not saying that Doug Rimmer hasn't been to any of the Cypress Board meetings, but I'm just saying that of all those Cypress Board meetings that I attended and actually videoed back during the heyday of all this, I never did see Taxman Doug Rimmer anywhere.
No, I think this was recent.
Okay.
I think we haven't recorded those, and Of course, when we were in our lawsuit for 2 years, David and I just chose not to, there's only so much you could take. Well, and he had a personal health issue and it sent us out of town a lot. But I'm just so glad that I wish every police juror would go and check it out before they decide who to. Dis- I don't even know if Philip has been to one, but
I can say that all of the meetings I attended during that time period, Philip did not attend any of those.
I just think that it's important that they go and attend. And I'm so happy that
I stand corrected. Philip was at one of them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do remember that. I think it was when the millage was trying to be increased or something. I don't know. But the bottom line is he nailed it. He said it's the most dysfunctional board he had ever seen.
Yeah,
And
that is true.
The attorney general offered to send a representative from their office to attend the meetings and teach them about open meeting laws, because this high dollar attorney firm, legal firm or whatever that they've got doesn't seem to understand that.
Well, let me share this with you, which I haven't shared with anybody else. So I did send a public information request to see if they had attended that training as per the emails between the AG's office and the heirs law firm. The Cypress district responded, which of course it was Alex and their law firm that responded, that they weren't privy to those emails and blah, 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 which, first clue, they're public information. Those aren't privileged by attorney-client privilege in any way, shape, form, or fashion, contrary to what y'all say or claim, Alex. But I took that as no, they hadn't done the training because the AG's office indicated that they had not ever done any of the training.
They don't care.
So, they don't care. All right.
They don't care so long as the dollars keep rolling in.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's hear. Anybody want? Well, Renee, you already know, but we can't tell Duke yet because he doesn't know anybody watching. Anybody want to guess whether Robert Berry has reapplied to be on the Cypress district? You want to guess, Duke?
Why would he not? I mean, he's got the goods on all of them because they're none of them. If they've all proved they're not going to do anything to get rid of him.
Yep. Well, here we go. Let's listen to Taxman Doug Rimmer.
Robert has applied for reappointment. We have a letter from him. I can tell you this, because we have talked. As we sit today, there's no way that's going to happen. That means that you got to have say.
Hey, Duke, think about that quote that Rimmer just made. Now, I'm just going to infer from what he said or what he implied. But if there's no way that Robert Berry is going to be elected, which I agree with, or be reselected, which I agree with, but gosh, that almost sounds like what we've talked about before, that they decide the meetings and they're really just dog and pony shows, which would indicate potential walking quorums.
Sure sounds like a walking quorum. Boy, but if I had my ability, I would go on the police jury Facebook page and I would comment, "Oh, I'm sorry, that's right. They block the public from commenting. You can't say what you think on social media." And I'm guessing you can't go up there and ask a question either at the police jury meetings.
No, but I gotta say, in this case, I would have to support a walking quorum. I just would. All right.
No doubt. Something tells me that you're going to shock me with this audio that you haven't shocked and awed me yet. You're gonna sell me on Philip Rodgers, I'm guessing.
Well, I am towards the end. It'll be pretty much about the last one. Renee probably knows what I'm talking about. All right, but let's listen to Rimmer and legal advice.
He had it's just one of those things that turned that, and part of it was bad legal advice. Not flooding advice. He got bad legal advice. And we couldn't believe it from jump.
Hear that, Lee Ayers and Curtis Shelton? Y'all are giving bad legal advice. That's from Doug Rimmer, president of the police jury.
Can he say that about Ayers and Shelton? I'm
He
wondering.
might have a
Can-
price on his head now.
Wait a minute. I thought police jurors couldn't talk about the Cypress District publicly, but they're
Oh,
doing it.
hold on.
Interesting.
Yeah, because, all right, hold on. And here we go with Rimmer's opinion on whether there's any law breaking going on.
They're not going to vote for Robert to continue as executive director. That's breaking the law. It's breaking the law when it happened, and it's breaking the law now. We've got confirmation of that from the Supreme Court. So now they may appeal that thing on, but me, I'm looking for somebody that's going to walk in there and say they can vote for that. If they're the only
Hint, hint. Paging Doug Rimmer. It was against the law back in 2013 and 2014 when it was presented to the police jury, and you specifically seconded the motion not to accept his resignation and reappoint him.
Yeah, but we're cockroaches, lies
Right.
and cohorts and innuendo. Us right here, front and center. But now it's hip. But now it's hip to be cool.
Yes, it is. All right, and so I'm not going to go through a lot of this other deal. There was some back and forth on the qualifications, some more, and some good questions asked about that. And Renee, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the general consensus was there weren't really any qualifications other than be a resident of Bossier Parish. Is that pretty much it, Renee?
Well, that's what they said, but I love what Chris Baker said because, Chris has actually served on the Cypress Black Bayou board years ago. He knows, he's familiar. And he currently serves on the Council on Aging. And what he mentioned was you actually want diversification. You don't just want all attorneys. You don't just want all CPAs or all engineers. You want a little bit of everything. And, I agree with that, but it sure would be nice to have somebody that either lives on the lake or that hangs out on the lake a lot, understands what's going on there. But yeah, basically and Lord help me, please know how to use a computer. I can't tell you how frustrating it is when you want to send somebody an email and they don't even know how to open it and respond. Let's get somebody that's here in the 22nd century, whatever. So yeah, but basically we didn't really get into details on that.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward. Our good friend Rusty Lombardino, who happened to be sitting right next to me, he had several interesting comments, but here's one of them.
Talking about the lake, we're talking about the campground too, right?
We're talking everything that has to do with Cypress.
And there's a big push in Benton and north around Benton to bust that campground up for a housing development, and that's what a lot of the pushback is coming right now.
Well, I don't know who started that rumor, but that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Has anybody heard that?
I kind of heard the rumor, but it's federal land. You can't sell it. And trust me, we knew that from Robert Berry and Walt Bigby coming over. No, we can't sell you any land. But Robert said we can do a land swap though, and I went, well, that's interesting. Anyway, no, that can't happen. But I do think that because it's federal, you could turn it into a state park, maybe. I don't know.
Well, something might could be worked out, but we'd have to get with our Washington, D.C. contingent. All right, I'm going to fast forward because Chuck Duncan had some excellent comments, and let's see what he had to say.
There's one problem on that lake, and everybody in here knows what that problem is. And I worked on that lake as a deputy for 10 years with Mr. Sam. Never heard a landowner complain about one thing. Never heard a bad word about the board. Never heard anything but good things. And suddenly it just changed like overnight. And now we've got to the point, it's really sad what's happening. We got the landowners against the board and Robert Berry. I mean, that's where we're at. To the point now, we hear about the federal government being weaponized. That board's weaponized. That's exactly why Dodie Horton has it. And I don't know the guy running against her at all. He may be a fine man. He can't be too fine because he's the next cop. But he probably is a pretty fine guy.
All right, I'll stop it right there. I think he said it best, the board's weaponized. And they got a $200,000 a year spear.
Yeah,
use.
and they're abusive, very abusive.
All right, I'm going to fast forward to one more comment from Chuck Duncan where he mentions the landowner fees.
That's getting dinged. Robert Berry has suggested to raise the lake fees to $1,000 a year. $1,000 a year. Well, you live on the lake. Yeah, I live on the lake and I pay a premium on property taxes because I live on the lake.
Oh, that's what you have to look forward to, Duke. If Robert Berry stays in, you're going to pay $1,000. And that's because they couldn't get the millage, tax rate doubled. They got defeated on that, so they're going to jack it up to the landowners.
Well, if you remember, Rex, when they got that bond money or whatever you call it, the loan, they put us up as collateral, landowners around the lake, and they've made that if they had to go up to $1,000 a year, that they would do it in order to pay the loan back. But we have no say on how much they pay on legal fees or how much Robert Berry makes.
All right.
Is that wrong or is that just me?
No, that's correct. As a matter of fact, I'm going to replay a video. I think I've got it set to post Wednesday or Thursday that I did back in 2020 that explains the LCDA bond / loan is really what it is, and how that all came about. So I've got that video that's going to repost kind of explaining that. But you're basically right. If you dig into those papers, and I have all that available too for everybody to look at if they want to, but basically, yes, they did put up the landowner fees or the ability to raise the landowner fees as collateral. They also put up the $1 million building event center that they were supposed to do that, well, of course they never did, but that's another story.
$40,000 storage building. Are you
that they won't even let us use for a meeting room, literally denied us the ability to do that. But anyway, all right, I digress.
Don't forget who signed that too. Walt Bigby.
That is correct.
That's why he was staying on the board. Otherwise, he would have left because his name is on there and he wants to make sure it gets paid back.
That is correct. All right, so let me fast forward to another quote from Philip real quick.
I didn't say that. I said I will not vote, and Doug said he will not vote for Robert Berry. Because I can't speak for those others 11, other teams.
Well, as it stands today, of course, the vote's got to be taken and taken.
But let me finish.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. So you heard Philip. He's not voting for Robert Berry, and neither is Doug. All right, definitive statement right there. He's going to have a tough time trying to get around that.
I'll believe your lies and innuendo of them saying they won't vote for him when I actually see it on the police jury, video.
All right, so we're gonna play two more quotes from Philip, and then we'll play the last one, the really good one. But this is Philip addressing the boathouse issue where, the rumors are that he broke the law and blah, blah, blah.
Chuck, I will say this, and, being that I'm an elected official, I bought a house on Cypress Lake, and I built a boathouse this last year. And I heard that I broke the law, and I did this, and I did that. But I worked with the board the whole way, with engineers, and I did exactly what they said, and I went to the meetings, and I built a boathouse, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm happy to have it on Cypress Lake. But I mean, what people say about me, if you ever want to know, you call me and ask me. Because I ain't scared to tell you anything I've done or anything I've voted on. But, just so you know, if the rumor's out there, there's a gas pipeline in front of my house. And I went to the board and asked if I could be further than 100 feet. And the board said, yes, you can be further than 100 feet because J.P. Wallace is on one side, Mike Morgan's on the other side, and people come up in that water, and it's only about 1.5 feet deep right there. The gas line literally is 2 feet under the water, okay? So by my boathouse going out there, people stop driving over the gas line anymore. So that's why they approved that, and they also approved that.
All right, listen to this quote from Chuck.
Complain about what you were doing. If you had land property, you could build a boathouse because that's been a big ordeal. But I did everything I was told to do.
We
Now,
did too.
if Robert comes back tomorrow and says I did something wrong, I mean, I guess.
He won't, as long as you're on the police jury, you're fine.
I may not be out
Did you hear
What
the
did he
quote
say
from Chuck?
next? I didn't hear it.
Chuck said, "You're on the police jury, Philip. You'll be fine. That Robert Berry and the board's not going to say anything about you building out an extra 100 feet."
That's true. If it was anybody else, oh no. It'd be
It's
like
true.
Renee and her husband. They'd be dragging them in court, trying to get every penny out of them they can, like leeches.
All right, we've still got nearly 80 people, or at least 80 people watching. We can't see how many people are watching from Twitter. Still watching this show, so we appreciate everybody that's watching. So we'll start wrapping up the show with this quote. This is Philip talking about, basically he's saying he does want the millage to be passed, and he's talking about the landowner fees. Now, I want both of you, since y'all both own property, one on Cypress and one on Black Bayou, I want y'all to listen to this carefully and see if you agree with Philip with this.
village to be not passed. I may be the youngest guy in here, and I may be the dumbest guy in here. But, and I've said it at another meeting, I'm happy with whatever the fees are. I don't care what they are, because it's worth it to me to be able to walk out there and see that like I got. I'm not telling y'all what y'all's happy with. I'm happy with whatever they want to be. If it's $5,000 a year, I'm fine with it. Because I'm very happy with the lake. I'm very happy with what I see every time I walk on my dog.
Well, there you go, Renee. How about, would you and David be happy with $5,000? I mean, I guess y'all would, considering what it cost y'all in the lawsuit, but would y'all be happy with $5,000 a year?
I think you missed my comment that I made to him after that. I said, give it time. And I said, you evidently don't care how people spend your money.
That's true. What about you, Duke? You and Kara happy with jacking it up to $5,000 just because Philip is?
Okay, I got one question. Who the hell's running against Philip Rodgers for police jury? Because I'm ready to write a check to your campaign right now. And it's probably $2,500 from me, $2,500 from my wife, to the tune of $5,000. He's going to rate. He's okay with $5,000 land. Okay, for those of you in the back row that don't live on the lake, once they come after all of the people out here with some astronomical jackwagon, there I use the word, y'all like that word, so I use it. I mean, I thought it was cool. Anyway, some jackwagon asinine amount to charge us landowners when they squeeze all the blood out of us. Who do you think is next? It's going to be you. I mean, we're just the first people that they're going to come after. What if they come to you and say, well, since you're a resident of Bossier City, and Bossier City is such a fine place, and we've got these fine statues when we can't hire more policemen, we think that you should pay more to be able to view those statues. So therefore, we're going to charge you a $5,000 a year landowner fee to live in Bossier City. How would you feel about that? Would you like that? Would you like that?
And the irony is the statue to which you're referring is to none other than Walt Bigby Sr., Walt Bigby on the board's father.
Yeah.
How ironic.
Who the motion was made by his best friend, the insurer of the Cypress District, who is the city councilman that appoints or makes the motion to appoint Walt Bigby to the Cypress District Board.
Funny how all that works. So
yeah, no good old boy stuff. Just lies and innuendo, and
Hey Rex,
all right. Mm-hmm.
You were talking about Facebook earlier. You forgot about the Facebook post that David and I were.
Oh yes, I did.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
What I'm going to bring up is that I'm going to have plenty of banners for anybody that wants to put one for Doty and for Jeff Landry on their boathouse, because we put a big sign on our shoreline and we were told you're not allowed to put political signs on your shoreline, even though we lease it and we pay a pretty penny to lease it. And it's lease property where they said it was public property, and they said that it was in the public right of way, which is not true. It's public use. But would you believe we got a letter from the president, Walt Bigby, instead of the law firm? So that was a step in the right direction. And instead of demanding, he said, please. And so, because of that, to show good faith and that, we try to be good citizens and try not to cause problems, we moved our sign back. But they told us to put it on our private property. And last time I checked, our docks and our boathouses are our private property. So we're going to have some banners, 2-foot by 4-foot banners that we're offering to residents of Cypress and Black Bayou to put on their boathouses. And it's not just Dodie Horton, but our good friend Jeff Landry. I think you're going to want one, aren't you, Duke?
You better believe it.
Well, you left out part of the story, though, Renee. So I'm sharing the Cypress Black Bayou Recreation and Water Conservation District's Facebook page where, oh, look, that looks like a Dodie Horton sign, and Renee, that looks like y'all's house right there.
Would you believe we hadn't had it up 24 hours when that got posted? I really think they have a camera on our house. I'm not kidding. We're thinking about doing some mooning sometime.
That would be great. So, just so y'all know, I'll guess that they posted this before y'all got the letter from the Cypress District.
Yes, the next day. So posted, and within the next day, we got the letter. It was a Saturday. We got our letter.
So I just wanted to make that clear that they were being a little petty, but I guess, they could say the same thing. I mean, they got their spokesman, Philip Rodgers, sitting there talking about how all you landowners, y'all don't do anything but complain, and all of y'all are complaining about Robert Berry, and just, I don't know. I actually, as soon as the meeting was over, I said, shook hands with a couple of people. Doug Rimmer didn't even acknowledge me, which is fine. I don't care. Philip actually did in one of his old deals, but I didn't say anything the whole meeting and got out of there before my lip was bleeding from biting it.
Yeah. Well, Rex, I'd like to tell people that are watching, please, in the comment, if you live on Cypress or Black Bayou, make a comment that you would like a sign, and if you want one or both, and I should be able to pick those up on Friday. So, and I'm getting some yard signs too. So yard signs, 2-foot by 4-foot signs, we're ready to get them out there.
I would encourage everybody, if you're a landowner and you have lakefront property, put them as close to the edge of the Cypress District property as you can get without going over the edge, just to aggravate them and run their blood pressure up some.
So, you said Walt Bigby called you about your son?
No, sent the letter.
Walt Bigby sent the letter.
Yeah, and I can't find it. Do you have the letter, David?
Well, Rex, if you share my screen, I pulled up the campaign finance report of Dodie's opponent, and you can't see it real good. I can't blow it up a whole lot more, but there is Walt Bigby in his first campaign finance report, maxed out donation.
Oh, wait, and that's to Dodie's. Let me see if I can make that a little larger. That's to Dodie's opponent. Oh, look, there's Walter O. Bigby Jr.'s name. And is that to Chris Turner? Yeah. Oh, look, it's to Chris Turner. Ha! Imagine that.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, but we can't put signs up, but yet they've managed to put signs in front of Dodie, and they're putting them in the right of ways, and they're putting them in people's yards that can't even vote for him. It's like the guy's desperate because nobody wants his signs in their yard because everybody loves Dodie. Why?
Yeah.
I mean, why is he even running? She's been doing tremendous things for our children. Oh my gosh, do you not want her to do that?
You know the answer to that, Renee, but I'll be nice. Hey, Duke, just to let you know, your lovely bride would like a no wake zone sign.
Well, look, I don't care. I'll show you what I have to offer for or from what I get from the police jury. If I can find, let me find it real quick. My seawall, it's all in the lake. It's submerged.
Oh. See, y'all can have Jeff Landry signs. You could have Dodie Horton signs and no wake zone signs. And
Well,
please
maybe
fix
they-
this police jury signs or whatever, or Cypress
Yeah,
District.
maybe they can send Robert Berry over here to pull up my seawall out of the lake. It's like probably 20 foot of it's done fell in the lake. But
Well,
anyway,
he does so
I
much
dig-
for the Cypress District. But anyway, all right. So let's kind of wrap it up. We've
So,
Rex,
so
be sure
let me go back. Let me go back. Did Philip
first.
Rogers say, Philip, Renee, you were there and Rex, y'all were there. Philip Rogers said $5,000 landowner fee. He's
Yeah.
okay with that?
Do you want me to go back and play it again?
Play it again, because I want those in the back to hear this. He's okay with everybody on Cypress and Black Bayou, all the landowners up here. He's okay with y'all all getting hit with a $5,000 landowner fee.
All right, here we go.
To be not passed. I may be the youngest guy in here, and I may be the dumbest guy in here. But, and I've said it at another meeting, I'm happy with whatever the fees are. I don't care what they are, because it's worth it to me to be able to walk out there and see that like I got. I'm not telling y'all what y'all's happy with. I'm happy with whatever they want to be. If it's $5,000 a year, I'm fine with it.
You want me to play it again, Duke? Did you hear it that time?
He's happy with the way things. He's going to vote against Robert Berry, but he's happy with the way things are. Well, then why is he voting against Robert Berry if he's not going to vote for him? If he's happy with the way things are, and 5,000, he's fine with 5,000, whatever. I mean, what's the number, Philip? Is it 10,000? Is that what you'll be happy with all the landowners? I mean, what will be the tax increase to all of you out there for the renewal for the Cypress District? How much of a tax increase are you willing to pay? Because it doesn't matter to Philip Rogers. He's fine with it. Whatever. It's good. However much, how much money y'all got? Rex, how much you got to contribute? You pay to it. How much you want to kick in?
Not $5,000. I'm certainly glad I don't own any property on the Cypress District.
Yeah, but how much more in taxes? How much are you willing to kick in?
So let me be clear, even though this is going to differ from our good friend Mike Collier, who commented earlier about it. I'm for killing the millage and killing the Cypress District, and I don't care what they do with the park. How about that?
Nobody's using it.
I'm there. I'm there too.
Let me ask you, Renee, as a landowner, and y'all have one of the nicer homes on the lake. It's a beautiful home. Y'all actually kind of can look out your back window. Not kind of, you can look out your back window and see the park or parts of it. Do you feel that the park itself adds value to your home? I'm going to put you on the spot here.
No, I don't.
So if y'all decided for some reason that you and David want to sell your home, do you think if the park was not there that you would get less money if you sold your home?
If it was overgrown and looked bad, it would be a detriment. But we're gonna die here, Rex. My family will own this house until they die. My parents built that little red camp house that's straight across, that's next door to us, when I was 15 years old, and there was no water in the lake. And I grew up here. My girls learned to water ski at the age of 2 and 4. Well, actually, they were in diapers when we taught them. My grandkids are skiing here. My 2 daughters one's about to build here. The other one already lives here. So, the park has always been just a wonderful place for people to come and enjoy the lake that can't afford homes on the lake. And so I've always thought that it was a great thing to have, and people come and camp. But I'm telling you, Rex, it's like there's nobody over there. There is nobody for months and months and months. It's just sitting there, and it's just putting money in the pockets of these attorneys and in Robert Berry, and causing grief for the people that are supporting it. So why would we keep supporting it? I would rather see it go to, like you said, a state park and let people keep enjoying it. But I'm not going to keep funding it if that's how they're going to run it. And if the Bossier police jury isn't going to help support it, if that thing fails and people see what happens to the park, those jurors need to think about their reelection, because they're letting a jewel just go to waste. And it's wrong. It's just wrong.
I can't disagree with that. What say you, Mr. Lowry, in closing?
I live on Black Bayou, and I get no benefit out of the money spent on the park. I get none, zero, nada, no benefit. So it doesn't help me in one way, shape, form, or fashion. For the last 5-6 years, or the majority of the term that Robert Berry's been here, we have a no wake zone in front of my place here, and they can't even maintain the buoys. Can't even maintain the buoys. It's been us landowners right here that are ones that keep them up. We have to call the sheriff's office to get any boats. It used to be Chuck Duncan and them. They used to have boats, and they would patrol. They would get out, and they would, enforce the rules and keep people from blowing through the no wake zones. Not Robert Berry. No, ain't gonna do all that. And of course, the Salvinia on the north end of the lake. We heard lots of stories, and even there's been some allegations about some of the shenanigans that have went on in the boats up there in the north end of the lake. Boy, I hope that sure comes to light. But Renee, I am going to disagree with you on one thing. You said that nobody's getting the benefit of that park. I think there are some people getting the benefit of that park, but I think it's a select few people that are getting that benefit. And I think that probably will explain why a lot of things won't change.
Well stated. Hopefully they do change. Renee, I'm sure I speak for everybody around that at least appreciate your efforts at trying to come to a happy medium and happy, common ground with our elected police jurors on trying to resolve this situation. I know you and David both have fought hard for it a lot, along with a lot of other people. Maybe they'll appoint somebody that can make a difference in the board for the better. That remains to be seen. But you have any closing remarks?
Just make a comment if you want a Doty or a Jeff Landry sign. And oh, by the way, we're going to have a big meet and greet here at our home. We're trying to get Jeff Landry to agree to attend also, and that's going to be in July. So more to come, and we need, if you could, make donations to Doty and to Jeff Landry, because they are fighting for us, and we need that. We need all the help we can get.
Well stated. And with that, we'll wrap it up. Folks, y'all know the drill. If you got some information you want to share with us, make a Proton Mail account. Don't put any identifying information in it. Send an email to bossierwatch@protonmail.com. We do read those. Our schedules may be a little haphazard during the summertime because I'm fishing a lot, helping the high school and the junior kids. And, we have regular jobs too, but we'll try to keep the show every week if possible, or at least update you and let you know. But anyway, Renee, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate David giving up his evening with you and letting you on the show to, discuss all of this. And there you go. Cheers to you too.
So next week, Liz Morrell is going to be on the show, so everybody needs to tune in. We're going to get an update on some of the national events regarding censorship and maybe even election integrity, I think, a little bit.
Should be interesting as always. All right. Thank you, Duke. Thank you, Renee. And we're signing off. Thank y'all folks for watching.